Some games have a better reputation than they deserve. That doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, but they're also not as good as people say they are, and I'm here to tell you about what I think are some of the more overrated games. Also, I'm very sure that some of my picks on this list may upset you. So here are 7 overrated games, in my opinion. But first I want to know, what is a game you think is completely overrated? Let me know in the comments. The Last of Us is a great game, without a doubt. The acting, visuals and the overall presentation are brilliant and a great achievement for video gaming in general. So of course The Last of Us got a lot of praise. A lot of praise though went to a part of the game I consider to be mediocre, and that is the story. I mean, it's nothing we've already seen a bunch of times. A virus, in this case a cordyceps fungus, that affects most of humanity? Check. A fateful meeting between two people who initially don't like each other, but eventually become inseparable? Check. A vulnerable person who's the only hope for humanity? Check. The rest of the story repeats the same events over and over again. Joel and Ellie travel, are attacked by humans, survive, meet friendly humans, travel, are attacked by zombies, survive. Oh no, one of the friendly humans is infected and dies. And repeat. I mean, don't get me wrong. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is written brilliantly, and they are likable and relatable characters. But the framework that these characters have to support, the foundation, is boring and uncreative. The second aspect I think people don't realize isn't that great is the gameplay itself. Of course it's not bad or something, but it's pretty basic action-adventure gameplay, even from a 2013 point of view. The exploration and puzzles don't provide much variety or challenge, since they feel too easy to approach and lack a certain degree of depth. All you really ever do is pick up stuff for healing and build stuff for combat gameplay that can be really cool at times because it's presented cinematically, but ultimately feels like one shooting range after another. The stealth was decent though. In the end, The Last of Us remains a really good game, but I think it's not worth a 95 Metacritic score. What do you think? Is The Last of Us overrated or not? Let me know in the comments. Oh, how excited I was for this remaster. I only played Nier Automata before and absolutely loved every second of it. So of course I couldn't wait to finally experience what started this series. And oh boy, I was hooked after the first 1 or 2 hours. The atmosphere, world building, mystery and music grabbed me instantly. But after a couple of hours, things started to feel off for me. Not the combat, that was great the whole time. The thing that felt off for me was the approach to story progression. I mean, the world isn't that big, but the story is, which results in you running around the same 5 empty areas over and over again. In between running from point A to B, there's hardly anything to do besides a couple of side quests that rarely lead you in the same direction as any other quest in your journal. Maybe it was a mistake to play side quests, because in the end I was exceptionally bored by running to one person for a 3-sentence conversation only to return to where I started and then learn I have to go somewhere else. As a result, the game felt very stretched. The story and characters were interesting overall, so that kept me playing it, but I have a few gripes with that too. Call me dumb or something, but the way Replicant told its story was much more vague than Automata did. So half of the time the mystery that this game establishes therefore feels forced and artificially created. What I mean by this is that a well-crafted mystery first raises some questions, then very slowly answers some of them, while still introducing new elements that make you doubt what you thought you knew. Replicant on the other hand only raises more and more questions, which felt a bit frustrating to me. So Nier Replicant wasn't a great experience for me, and I never understood why people didn't have the same complaints as me, especially with the whole running around for an eternity. So the Metacritic score of 83 is still a bit too high in my opinion. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. Again, this is not a bad game. I rather say that again just to be on the safe side. But man, this game is overrated. When this came out in 2022, it got a lot of praise, and I share the opinion that the story is fantastic and engaging, and the visuals are breathtaking. The combat was a great enhancement to what the predecessor did, especially regarding all the great enemies. But man oh man, this open world was so tedious, bland and boring that I eventually stopped exploring and rushed through the story. I played Elden Ring just before that, which in my opinion has the best open world ever, thanks to its ability to reward you with useful equipment, surprises you with unexpected moments, and the sheer density of points of interest. Horizon Forbidden West has none of that, at least not as meaningful. Everything you find in this world is either equipment that can be swapped out for something better just a few moments later, or crafting materials, which there are so many of that it's unintuitive and unengaging to get a hang of this. This results in an unrewarding feel for exploration that doesn't come close to Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild's open worlds. I get that this is a different approach to open worlds, and this also has its audience. But I find it to be unappealing and highly overrated because the positive aspects of Forbidden West don't outweigh this bad excuse of an open world. Let me know your thoughts on this. Is Forbidden West overrated, or am I talking rubbish here? Let me know down below. Normally I'm a very positive person, but man, this game can go f*** itself. To this day I will never understand what people like about Vanquish. The story is one of the most generic I've seen in a video game, with almost exclusively dislikable characters that try way too hard to be cool. But hey, I can look past that. After all, this is a shooter, so the story isn't the most important part here. The gameplay is. Sorry, but this is rubbish too. For those of you who don't know, the unique gameplay mechanic in Vanquish is the special high-tech suit you have. With that you can slow down time and slide your way through the game. This is super cool in theory, but the sliding feels very shaky, slippery and therefore unintuitive, which results in some unhandy combat situations where you get stuck in corners and nervously try to get out of there. But you know, this isn't even the worst part. I think if you spend much time with the game, you could get the hang of this mechanic. No, the worst part is the absolute chaos that every single battle is. Keeping track of combat is difficult because there are too many things happening on the screen and it's hard to tell where what's happening. Enemy variety is an absolute joke too, since there are only a handful of interesting bosses and the rest are replaceable dumbheads. You know, if it would just be one of these things, I wouldn't have a problem with this game. But these complaints combined make this a highly dislikable game for me, and I will never understand why this game is considered to be underrated for most folks. But hey, maybe I just don't get it. You know what would be cool to get? Your sub. So click that sweet subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Also tell me your thoughts on Vanquish. I want to know if I'm an idiot for not liking this or if someone agrees with me. Sorry, but how is this game sitting at an 83 Metacritic rating? I really tried to like this game, but I just couldn't. I mean, the idea is simple but great. Bethesda creating a sci-fi RPG with incredible scale sounds fantastic and promises an absolutely epic adventure. But sadly, Starfield is everything but epic. Traveling through space itself is the biggest joke, since the only thing you do is click yourself through a menu and select your destination. No Man's Sky did that better 7 years ago. So the only reason to actually fly with your spaceship is to fight other spaceships. Wow, so epic. You know what else isn't epic? The presentation of this game. I mean, I was never a big fan of Bethesda games except Fallout 4, but I just don't understand why in the living hell people don't complain about the conversation style of these games. 100% of the story is told in this unengaging way, where you only see a lifeless person without any facial expressions telling you what's happening or what you have to do. All you do is answer without ever hearing your character once. That's not exactly the definition of epicness. The rest of the game is a confusing mess. Funnily enough, even though you're playing an explorer, you don't have a map. I mean, what the f***? Also, running around and talking to people fills your quest journal up to a point where I personally find it hard to understand what to do next or what priorities to set. So in order to keep track of things, you should talk to as few people as possible, which shouldn't be a way to approach an RPG. But at least that made it a bit better for me. And then there's the menu navigation, which just is the most unintuitive thing ever and a pain in the butt. There are cool aspects in Starfield, like the overall aesthetic that reminds me a lot of sci-fi movies from the 80s and 90s, but that doesn't outweigh the gripes I have with this. Personally, I will never understand why people think this is a great game. What are your thoughts on Starfield? Let me know in the comments. Okay, maybe I cheated my own rules here a bit, because maybe the first 3 Sonic games are not amongst the most overrated games of all time, in terms of how much they are overrated, but how often they are. I think Sonic was a clever answer to Mario back in the day, at least in theory. The problem I have with Sonic games is that they aren't able to hold up to their own premise. Sonic is fast and that's super fun, but as soon as you leave the excessively long roads with all the loopings and stuff that give you the chance to build up speed, Sonic is actually too fast for the level design. That results in you having to stop or slow down for the most time to complete a section that requires dexterity, something I think doesn't fit into a game about a fast hedgehog. What adds to the frustration for me is that the screen is actually too narrow for the fast movement, which makes it hard to react to enemies or other obstacles at full speed. This may be something more recent Sonic games fix, but I don't know, since I haven't played any Sonic games since Sonic Heroes. If you don't agree with my opinion on this and need some positivity for Sonic, I recommend you visit one of my content creator friends, Chicken Fillets. He's a massive Sonic fan. Go check out his channel. He creates super cool and fun videos. But first tell me if you understand what I mean and if you agree with me on this. Let me know in the comments. Stop, don't skip just now, let me explain what I mean, okay? First I want to say that Final Fantasy VI is a fantastic game and easily one of the most important JRPGs ever. And rightfully so. It's an incredibly good game. Every character has its own motivations and well-written personality. Combat is as exciting as it can get on the SNES, because every party member comes with a unique mechanic. The story was great, especially the twist halfway through caught me off guard. And the music is just phenomenal. But as much as I love all that, there are things that just bothered me. For me, Final Fantasy VI separated party members way too often. And the first time I thought, okay, this is it, the adventure is about to begin. The plot twist simply scattered all the characters over the whole world map. As you try to find them all, the story takes too much of a break from me and struggles to evolve. This also led to less character interactions, which is a shame because, as I said, the characters are fantastic. Also, Kafka is not that great of a villain as many people say he is. Yes, he's an unpredictable maniac and really interesting, but if you look closely, there are just a handful of moments in the game where he actually appears on screen and gets a chance to show off his lunatic personality. He is memorable for sure, but I never felt connected to him or his motivations. That all being said, Final Fantasy VI is an extremely good game. I just think it's a little bit overrated and not the best Final Fantasy objectively. I hope I didn't upset too many people. Alright, tell me in the comments if you understand what I mean and what your favorite Final Fantasy is. If you made it to this part of the video, thank you. I appreciate that. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed this and also click the like button if you want. Alright, have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.